to come on today and share a easy activity that you can do that I actually use as a biblical counselor very often in my counseling sessions when you're trying to get into an issue of the heart. So there can be idols that we're struggling through, there can be sin patterns that we have in terms of things that we're dealing with that come out in our emotions and ways that we process things. And so this activity is a heart activity and one that I've seen different biblical counselors use. And what I do often is in a session or for homework, I will have the person write down these 4 categories. And the first one is the situation, the second is the emotion, the third is the thought, and then the fourth is the belief. And so what you can do in your own home is get a sheet of paper, and if you're working through something, say you went through a traumatic experience and you're dealing with it by being angry, and you've really felt, wow, like that car accident I just went through, this last week I've been super angry about things, I've been really struggling to trust the Lord about all of that stuff. So first thing you can do is write down situation. So write down, what was the situation? Say it was, I got in a car accident and this happened to me. So that's more of just a general, what happened, what was the situation? You don't have to talk about your feelings on it yet, that's just the situation. Then the second would be your emotion. So right next to it you can write your emotion, and it's a funneling process. So what you're doing is you're understanding this event and then taking captive your thought in terms of, what was I actually thinking? What did that do to me that made me feel a certain way when I got in this car accident? Maybe you got scared, maybe you got anxious, maybe you got really angry at the other person, even if it wasn't their fault, you were just angry because you didn't know how to handle the situation. And now a week later, you're still angry, you haven't processed through it, all of that. So write down the emotion that you felt because of the situation. Then the third thing you're gonna do is write down the thoughts that you've been having since that situation happened. So maybe some of the thoughts were, how could God allow this to happen? What am I gonna do financially? I can't afford to pay for this. All of the things that can spiral when getting in a car accident or whatever situation you're going through. What are all the thoughts in your mind that have been coming from it? And so then the fourth thing you're gonna do is write down belief. So based on that situation, based on how your emotions handled it, and based on your thoughts, what are you now believing about the Lord? What are you now believing just in general? So some of that might be, the situation was a car accident that happened to me. My emotion was I got angry at the other person. How dare they do that? Now I'm actually really worried because even though it's technically my fault, I still think it's the other person's fault. And I can't afford these things. I don't trust that the Lord is gonna deal with these things, all of that. So the belief generally that would come from that situation would be the belief that you don't trust that the Lord is in control and you're worried about finances. And so that can be your belief system is now you're lacking trust in God, maybe for even allowing you to get in a situation like that, like a car accident. And then you're also not trusting God with your finances. So it's a good place to start, because really what comes from a lot of things that happen to us is really what's in our hearts already. And so it just bubbles to the surface when we have more and more issues that arise, more and more situations that we feel like we can't handle, and really getting to the heart of, what am I actually fearful of? What am I worried about now? What have my emotions been telling me? And one of the things that I share with a lot of people with counseling is, you can be on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to emotions. Some people have a hard time with emotions. Others are okay with sharing their emotions and have lots of emotions and don't hide it. And generally when you're dealing with your emotions, whether you're on one end of the spectrum or the other end with dealing with emotions, biblically our emotions are a gauge, they're not a guide. Because our guide is the truth of the Word. Our guide is, no matter what our emotions are telling us, the Word is where we can stand firm on, even though I feel this way, that might not be true, because our thoughts were to take captive to obey the truth, which means that there's an assumption that we're not going to obey because our thoughts automatically are going to go towards a sinful state, because we are sinful, fallen humans, and we've been restored through Christ, but we're still having to work through our sin and issues. And so recognizing those things can be really helpful. So I thought that you would enjoy that activity. You can do it on your own. If you have questions on it or want to talk more through that, or are just struggling to figure out really the heart of some of the issues that you have going on right now, based on a situation or things that have just bubbled up, feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to send you more resources or articles on things, or feel free to reach out for counseling or just to talk to me if you have any questions about that.